into the next story. A retired Dubai police dog was battling cancer and sadly passed away. Vaclav is a former explosive sniffing dog who served with honor in Dubai police. He was adopted by his loving family after retiring. Sadly, Vaclav was fighting stage 3 lymphoma. He was getting treatment, but the costs were high and his family needed support to keep fighting this battle. Lovin Dubai posted about the story yesterday, directing people to his vet if they wanted to make a contribution.
Massive hugs to Vaclav's family, because sadly he didn't make it in the last 24 hours. And I think we'll all be in mourning for this heroic former Dubai police dog. So the family reached out this morning just to let us know and to let you guys know, because I think a lot of people shed a tear for Vaclav yesterday.
Yeah.
Like the family, the dogs are so much part of the family, and when you see the video, the pictures of him, you're just thinking the family wanted to do anything.
Yeah, it's so heartbreaking. Like it's really. Dogs are really, really part of a family, like you said. So, like, it's really, really sad to see, like, someone who was part of your family, a big part of your family go, especially, like, you know, a police dog. Because obviously he did, like, really, really incredible work for Dubai police. So, like, it's such a sad, you know, thing to see that happening. Obviously people wanted to see resolution out of this, and they wanted to contribute, call the vet, you know, contribute in any way that they can, and it would have made a difference, but it just didn't. And that's the unfortunate part, to be honest.
I think the plus side of this story is that Vaclav went to clearly a very loving home after he was retired from service, but he was stood down from all his amazing work. He was an explosive sniffer dog, so he was stood down from service, I guess, and he went to a family that loved him. And, you know, we've had my fiance's sister has just been through a really difficult year with her dog Wilbur, who's just passed away. And Wilbur also had cancer, and the lengths they went to for Wilbur was phenomenal. So they live down in Cornwall, which is the very south of England, and they went to vets like around the country. They're staying in Airbnbs just to make sure that Wilbur got this amazing care. But sometimes, and I just liken it to the story in that, like, Wilbur had cancer, he had a really hard year, but he was so loved. And then when the day came that they had to say goodbye to Wilbur, they were in the garden in sunshine, and it was just, although it was a really sad time, we just look at it as like Wilbur was just loved until the very, very end, and the family did everything for him. So although it's a sad story and we really think about Vaclav today, also know that he was so loved, which I think is the main thing in life he went through. He was a hardworking dog, and then he went to a good family and they looked after him.
Definitely. I want to touch on the fact that, like, vets are, like, you know, doing treatments for pets that have cancer and stuff like that. When I lived in Egypt for a while, I had a cat that was diagnosed with cancer and stuff like that. I wasn't really, like, sure about the details, because they were unsure about the details, because they're just not very well versed in this kind of stuff. They were like, oh, well, your pet has cancer. I'm like, okay, so what's the next step?
Right.
And they're like, there is no next step. And I was like, got it, okay. So, I mean, I feel like that's the worst of it. That's the worst of it, because, like, if you have the option to get treatment, even if it's expensive, even if it's, like, I don't know, the vet's like an hour away, like, you would go to these lengths to make sure that your pet is, like, safe and happy. But, like, in that situation, my hands were tied because vets didn't know what to do.
So there was no, like, I don't know full terminology, but I guess palliative care, pain management?
We got nothing. Egypt was so like backwards at the time. This was a couple of years ago, but they were so backwards at the time with like medication or you know, preventative treatments, or even just full on treatment for cancer for pets. It didn't even exist. Like, I want to say, like, the vets here in Dubai are actually really, like, they're really good at this stuff. I was fostering a cat before in Dubai, and the vets were so good. They were diagnosed with pancreatitis. Like, that's, like, next level. In Egypt, this wouldn't have happened.
Right. Yeah, it's a strong point for the shelters here in general, because they just do so much work behind the scenes that people probably don't know and support and appreciate. Like I just imagine like what this family was going through when they realized that there's a big bill that was hard to foot. Like how do you take that?
How do you go about it? Yeah.
And it's interesting. I feel like people are more okay with asking for support these days. Do you find? As in, I think because of social media, and like I think go for it. Like I think there's no reason if you're in. I don't mean like fundraising or donating, but asking people for support when you need it, whether it's a conversation or just maybe it's time from someone else. And I think social media has really propelled that, and that people can use social media. They can use the platform to get out and say, hey, I'm struggling. And also it's a way to tell people, like before social media, what would have happened in this case? Now, unfortunately, we don't have a happy ending to the story, but like before we had the platform to say, hey, I need help. Like I'm just thinking there was a girl on the show who got stuck in a country and she used a GoFundMe. Oh. It's kind of like a travel plan or something.